now I'm going home. If I should become a stranger,
We have our captain at the wheel here. And in the back, navigators in the back here. This is going to be a lot like the Scottish highway. Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey, and here we go again. I'm starting to look like Ralphie here with my coat on, and well, not quite. I think I've got a little bit different hair than he has, but certainly we've had some warm and cold weather here in Vancouver Island, so and I finally got the old furnace working properly, but I'm still got a little bit of a chill here, so that's why I'm dressed the way I am tonight. But I have been waiting patiently to open this bottle, and part of it is because I've always been a fan of this distillery, and I have never tried this whiskey. And it's probably a whiskey a lot of you don't know much about. It's called Ballechin. And Ballechin is from a distillery called Edradour. Now, a lot of you that know something about Scotch are familiar with that as at one time being the smallest distillery in Scotland. Now they just call it Scotland's Little Gem because there's just so many small craft distilleries in Scotland. So this is an interesting distillery. So we went to visit this distillery. We got a chance even to walk and check it out. It no longer has its visitor center, and it was one of the busiest visitor centers. Part of the reason, as they told me in Pitlochry when we were over there visiting, was they have trouble getting staff. Now it's interesting because Blair Athol seems to have staff for their tours, and so does Aberfeldy, which is close by. So it's interesting that, and Dalwhinnie, that's just down the way, and Tomatin, etc. So I'm not sure why that is, but it has been a distillery that has been operated very efficiently with only, I think, 3 people for many years. And Andrew Symington is the owner. He does an amazing job with Signatory. He owns that independent bottling company. And anyways, I want to get this thing open because I've been doing Kilchoman, which is another farm distillery, the same as Edradour. That's how Edradour started way back in, was it 1825 or whatever. And it is similar in a way that how it got started to Kilchoman. Of course, Kilchoman, a much newer distillery. And we've done, 3 reviews on Kilchoman. And I've tried, I think a half a dozen of their bottlings and that. I want to compare it with this because this is 50 ppm. And so is the Kilchoman whiskies. And I think this would be great to do finish our review on this. And then I think we should compare the two of them. But first, we have to get through the review and this. So. Looks a bit like the Edradour bottle. Natural color, 46% ABV. So let's get this guy open. Kind of excited about this. Let's give it the official pop. Oh, that was a goodie. I like that one. So it's got a darker color, decent legs, and it's almost the color of the Loch Gorm, the Kilchoman Loch Gorm we did a couple of reviews ago. Definitely darker than the 13-year-old Kilchoman, but... So this actual peated expression here was first bottled and released in 2014. So this has not always been part of the Edradour line. So, but since 2014, they've had various bottlings of the Ballechin. I think there were even some cast strength bottlings. And what I like out there, 46%, non-chill filtered, no color added. So, I think we better get into the nose here and see what the nose is all about. And I am getting the campfire. Not so much a beach fire, just more of like a bonfire, campfire, maybe out camping. Yeah, I'm getting some rubber tires though. There's some oily minerality to it. And I'm going to say more like an industrial oily smell. If you've ever worked in a factory where you have a lot of oil that might be on the floor, you get that oily smell. But the smoke is more like a bonfire, or we'll say, like I say, a campfire or something. There is a little bit of a sootiness to it. Definitely different than what you would get, let's say, with an Isla Lagavulin or Lefroy or Ardbeg. And something kind of a little on the putrid side. Sweet and putrid. Every once in a while, I get a floral note mixed in with the rubber. Let's go for the palate. Salangeva. Soot. Very sooty. More so than the Loch Gorm. More so than the Kilchoman 16-year-old. So this is 50 ppm. So is the Kilchoman, but this has got a lot more going on with that soot, but it's a different kind of peat. There is a slight bit of a bite to it. And I'm going to say more of a tobacco note. Amazing coating on my mouth. I'm getting something hot. Habanero, jalapeno, or chili. So I wouldn't use the word mocha. I'd use, dark chocolate, like bitter dark chocolate. But I've got the mouth salivating here now. It's interesting. Let's go over the development and the finish. Salangeva. I'm getting some of the sweet notes mixed in, like a bittersweet. Is the best way to describe it. The chocolate's still there, the coffee's still there, the tobacco's still there. The habanero is kind of fading a little bit, so it's not quite as hot. Still a little bit of that rubber taste, and we are getting a little bit of something raisiny here. So if it had bourbon influence, I'm not getting as much citrus as I'm getting the raisins. So, but in terms of finish, this has got a medium to long finish. There's no question about that. It's got an oily texture to it. It's coated everything, including my throat. It's quite interesting what's going on. I am going to add a few drops of water. So we got a few drops of water in here. So with water, we're going to give it just a wee bit of nose. Yeah, now I'm getting an interesting mix of still a wee bit of the peat, but definitely not as not the impact I got at the at the start. I would say definitely faded, but a lot of sweet notes. Now we're getting some fruity stuff going on. And so we're getting a mix of the citrus, but maybe some raisin and maybe some prunes, plums, or whatever. So, with water, the palate, Salangeva. Three drops of water. And I am getting now a sweeter chocolate or coffee. Very faint, the habanero. The peat's more background, but I think just the initial impact was so strong that it's probably still there. My taste buds are now maybe more focused on the sweeter notes, so still coating my mouth. I mean, this is a good finish. And there's still, like I'm definitely not dry, anything but I'm salivating. So this is another Andrew Symington creation, and I'm going to say he's done a really good job on this, for me, my palate. Because I like something different. I like something interesting. I started off with heavy industrial oil. This wasn't beach maritime notes. This was maybe a campfire. We talked about, oil in a factory on the, on a floor, probably a cement floor. There's all these different things that I got here that I haven't had out of anything. Maybe a Springbank or something, I get a little bit of that. So it's got some funkiness about it. And I like that. I like its uniqueness. This is a whiskey that, for a 10-year-old, darn it, for a peated 10-year-old, I've got to give this thing a decent score because of its uniqueness and the way I'm responding to it. I'm looking at, 85, 86. That's where I see this. It's, so far, this is one of the more impressive peated 10-year-olds I've had. So it's really hard for me to compare this with something. I think the closest thing I can think of is maybe a Longrow. That's, from Campbelltown. I mean, I'm just trying to think of what else I've had that's got that interesting mix, because it's not really a maritime peat, and it's got that industrial, oily taste to it. So, but there is some Oloroso notes, and it's got some mixed stuff in there, some interesting things going on, and I really think that this is something that if you do enjoy a little heavier hit of peat and a little more impact, something different, this is for you. If you're a little bit on the weak side when it comes to peat, maybe stay away from it. So that's where I'm going to leave it. 85, 86, that's where it belongs. And on that note, I'm going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, and do not drink and drive. Until the next time, Salangeva.